Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
Open season kicks off today. Federal employees and retirees are facing another round of double-digit premium hikes, shifting plan defaults, and new coverage options. Here to explain what's changing and how to avoid paying for coverage you don't need is John Hatton from NARFE. John, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Open season kicks off today. People might have been a little distracted by all the other things that are happening in the federal government and with the federal workforce. But if they wake up this morning and they're listening to us and they go, oh my goodness, it's open season, what should they know initially about timelines and important things to look at?
Well, they have from today until December 8th to make a choice of plans. And we highly encourage people to look at their plan options every single year. But really this year, it's even more critical with the second year of double-digit premium increases. So you really have an opportunity to save money by choosing a different plan in many cases. There's a lot of good plan options with quality comprehensive coverage. And so it's really just about making sure you're able to walk through a process that makes you feel confident in that change of plans and choice. And so, we're there to always help people with that decision-making process, but really encourage people to go through it.
If people are furloughed and they're not seeing their office emails, they don't have access to their work computer, does that pose a challenge for anybody getting ready to enroll?
People should still be able to enroll through the normal portals. I think where it poses a challenge with the shutdown ongoing is just communication from federal agencies. So OPM is still up and running. They have funds paid essentially through your premiums for administration of the program. But the agencies are shut down and you may not have health fairs going on. You may not have communications from agencies. You may be lost in terms of where to go to enroll and sign in. And so that part, I think, will be challenging for people, but being able to actually make a change and accessing OPM hopefully should not be.
So they're going to have to do a little bit more of their own research at that point. Talk to us or point us in the right direction about what's new and what people should really be paying attention to in this year.
Well, plan options remain pretty broad and comprehensive, and there are tweaks from year to year. I think on the program-wide basis, there are some additional required coverages like PrEP medications for HIV treatment. The administration took away gender-affirming care treatments. There's, continues to be IVF coverage or for infertility treatment in the program. So each plan has to cover at least one GLP-1 medication. So there are some tweaks around, I would say, the edges of the program in terms of program-wide. But I think people really need to take a look at their individual plan. And each plan may change. And I think we've seen a little bit more changes plan to plan than we typically see or that we've seen in the past. I know on the postal side, there's some tweaks to Medicare reimbursements, which is really a lot of retirees find critical. So if you already have Medicare, you can get some money off those premiums in certain plans. There's been some tweaks on the postal side, but not the federal side for that. So I think it's really important for people to look at that section 2 of the plan brochure and take a look at the individual changes, because not only are you facing these increases in premiums, you may have changes in your underlying plan.
So let's talk about those premium changes. This is a second year of double-digit premium hikes. What's driving the cost increases?
I wish I could give you a very specific answer. OPM provided some very generic answers like costs of providers have gone up. Some increased utilization of prescription drugs, including GLP-1s, is probably the most specific thing they provided. But, the costs of healthcare are going up across the country, and that's reflected in these premiums.
Healthcare premium costs are a big issue in the shutdown conversation and negotiation. Is that related to the prices folks are seeing for the federal programs?
Mostly no. The issue over the ACA premiums is whether to extend enhanced subsidies. So this is on the Affordable Care Act exchanges for people who don't have employer-based coverage, don't have Medicare, don't have Medicaid. And during COVID, one of the bills that passed enhanced those subsidies. So it used to be up to a certain amount. There are now stronger subsidies. So if those go away, people are seeing potentially triple-digit increases in their premiums in terms of percentage, and from just large amounts of money that are going to really make it hard for people to retain their healthcare coverage at all. And they don't have, I don't think, the same ability to choose a new plan that saves them more money the same way you may in response to the FEHB premium increases. There is still underlying increases in those premiums, though. So I think maybe 26% on the Affordable Care Act exchanges if you take away the subsidies. So that is related. There's an underlying premium increase that's across the board that's affecting both FEHB and the Affordable Care Act. But the issue with the shutdown is these enhanced subsidies that allow people that don't have employer-sponsored coverage to get affordable health care. And that's kind of been the crux of the Affordable Care Act in the first place. It's providing some safety net and alternative outside of your employer-based coverage. And luckily, federal employees and retirees have that employer-based coverage and it's quality, but some people in this country don't.
I'm speaking with John Hatton. He's Staff Vice President of the National Association of Active and Retired Federal Employees. John, let's come back to the OPM plans. They made some changes to default plans for folks whose coverage is going away. What do people need to know if they're looking at an automatic enrollment? How is that process going to play out? And what if it doesn't fit their needs?
Yeah, anytime your plan is dropping out, you're defaulted into a different plan. So you don't totally lose coverage. You don't have to make an affirmative choice. That's a good positive thing. This year, the NALC plan is dropping out of the federal side of the program. They're still in the postal side. So if you're a postal employee or retiree, you can still retain it. But that's a significant number of people. OPM made the choice to not default into the lowest cost nationwide plan without a high deductible and without an association membership fee. That's what the regulation says. Then it has another sentence that says they reserve the right to designate an alternate plan for automatic enrollments. So this year, the lowest cost nationwide plan would be the GEHA Elevate plan, but instead they have designated the GEHA High plan. So in the past, you would be automatically enrolled into a low premium plan. In this case, you're automatically enrolled into a high premium plan. So particularly if you had, the consumer option in NALC, for example, you're going to see a huge spike in increases if you just defaulted in and you don't make an affirmative choice. So we really encourage people to choose. I mean, maybe the high premium plan with more coverage is the right choice for you, but you may want to look at some other alternative plan, even with those low deductibles, that might be cheaper, because there are options even with really low deductible plans that have lower premiums than kind of the main big dogs in the program. So really critical that you look and choose what's best for you.
So back to our point at the beginning, which is people really need to do some research, especially if they don't have access to the experts in their organization.
Yeah. And NARFE provides resources. We have webinars that walk people through their options and really step-by-step, how do you simplify the process? We actually surveyed members, and first of all, about less than 5% of people change plans every year, unfortunately. And I think that's because they also said about 80% or more are content with their plan, but people are not content with these huge double-digit premium increases. But the reason they often, I think, don't change is because the complexity of the process, and they've said they'd rather write a will or read Shakespeare in terms of understanding the process. So we really try to simplify it step by step so you can feel confident that if you're making a choice that lowers your premiums, you're still retaining some quality coverage. And I think that's what people are most worried about. They have a plan that works for them. They don't like the premiums are going up, but for them to switch, they're taking a risk and a leap of faith that this other plan is going to do and meet their needs the same way. And I think when people realize that they could be leaving potentially thousands of dollars on the table, like that's the difference in premiums. It's for a self-only plan, for similar low deductible plans, it's $200 a month. For self and family, it's $500 a month. If you're switching to a high deductible plan, it's even more. So you could have $7,500 in premiums difference in some cases from one plan to another. And yes, you're risking a higher deductible, but it's maybe $1,500 more or something like that. So you're going to save $6,000 just on premiums and have to maybe pay a little more out of pocket after the fact. But so just thinking about some of those things and what the trade-offs really are with some of these choices. It's a lot to navigate. It's complicated. People don't understand the terms all the time. They don't understand the trade-offs, and they want to make sure they can get healthcare when they need it. But it really is, the plan is designed to utilize the fact that you have a choice in plans. It's great competition to help drive down costs. And when people aren't actually making a choice, it's not really working that way. So, I think we've seen these double-digit increases in part because people aren't making those choices.
I've been speaking with John Hatton. He's Staff Vice President of the National Association of Active and Retired Federal Employees. John, thanks for the roadmap through the forest of open season.
Yeah.
We'll post this interview at federalnewsnetwork.com/Federal Drive. Hear the Federal Drive on demand. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.